many screens. I love this. Okay.
So many screens. Okay. Wow. We're here. We made it. We are streaming live, both Facebook and Instagram, to talk about birth control today. I'm super excited. Mal and I jammed out on birth control and the issues around it, the health issues, our experiences with it, our experiences working with people on it who are recovering from some health issues on it. And I don't know about you, Mallory, but I get questions all the time about should I take birth control to fix my hormone issues? And what should I do? And I've just gotten so many questions on that I'm like, okay, we need to sit down and have a talk about this so people can get some real answers on what is the science behind what is birth control doing to our bodies? And if it is creating issues, how do we heal from that? What do we need to do? So I'm really excited. If anybody knows me, I'm Gina Worful. I'm a dietitian, and I'm here with Mallory. Mallory, do you want to just introduce yourself for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Mallory. I am a holistic nutritionist. So I do a lot of health coaching and just a wellness junkie, to be completely honest. So obsessed with the body, obsessed with what we can do to make ourselves even feel better. And you and I met almost a year ago, I think, doing a cold plunge. Yeah.
And I see our friend Will just jumped on. What's up, Will? We were cold plunging at his house, and Mallory and I were on the exact same page as far as health. And we're we have to talk about this juicy stuff that nobody is talking about.
Right. So we talk about all the things that they don't talk about with you when you get birth control. That's for sure.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone has questions along the way, feel free to pop in questions, and we're just kind of free flowing conversation talking about what are the issues around it. And I personally, I go way back with it. I remember being younger and just I think I was maybe 16 years old when I was what? I could make my periods so much better, and sign me up. And my doctor was yeah, this is going to be exactly what you need. This is great. You're going to feel so much better. Your periods will be better. Everything will be better. And never told me anything about what it really could be doing to my health. So I think I was on birth control for probably close to 15 years.
Wow. Yeah. And I was I actually started, so the type of birth control that I did was the IUD. And it was the Mirena IUD is pretty much the other off-brand version of it. And I'll tell you the reason why I did it, because I know that some people, whenever I talk about it, they can definitely relate to this, is it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And that's when I was with the doctor trying to decide which type of birth control to go on. There's the pill, there's the patch, there's the shot, there's the IUD. There's so many different options out there. And me with my crazy schedule, with taking a pill, it was just I would keep forgetting, and it's just kind of getting all off pace or off the schedule. Yeah. And so they're what about the IUD? It's, you put it in and then you're good. You don't have to think about it. And so it was almost not necessarily sold to me, but explained to me as a convenient option. Right. And then when it comes to the side effects, it's here's a pamphlet, read it in your downtime, but whoever reads it. Right. So I had 2 different IUDs over the course of 8 years. And I've just recently removed mine in November. And I've been going through some things. So,
do you feel sharing about those intimate things that you've been going through?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So here's kind of where do I start with this? Okay. So the IUD that I had just had was put in place about 2-3 years ago. And one of the side effects of an IUD for some women, especially the hormonal one, is you actually stop having your periods, right? And just looking at that from, even if you don't, have any medical history, a woman not having periods, in her younger years is not natural. So it's doing something already that's not natural for your body, right? Just instantly, but it's kind of well, it's a convenient option, right? It's out of sight, out of mind. So I had done that. And I think after 2 months of having the IUD, my period stopped completely. And I have been on and off different IUDs. And so pretty much over the course of 8 years, I've actually more not had my period than had my period.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay. And so I'm just thinking, oh, that's just like the IUD. That's totally fine. Well, until in September, I had gotten my routine blood check done. And when I had got that done, when I reviewed it with the doctors, they're like, oh, your hormone levels are a little off. And I'm like, what do you mean they're off? Like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, your progesterone levels are so low that it actually looks as if you are going through menopause, like you're premenopausal. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I'm like, hold on a second. So you're telling me, in my early 30s that I'm premenopausal, like, and for everybody, that just means that you're about to, go through menopause, which means you're no longer going to have kids. It's a fertility issue. So
you're
when you get
your mind,
you're losing your mind, having hot flashes. And here I was, getting my blood checked, routine blood checked. And they said that that was what my blood check like came back as. So I was like, what do I do? And when you get your blood work done, it does eliminate a lot of the guesswork. Like it gives you a really good idea of kind of what's going on in your body, but it doesn't actually tell you, okay, this is the exact cause for what it is.
right?
So talking with my doctor at that point, I said, okay, well, I've had the IUD and that has prevented me from having a period for X amount of years. Could that be the reason? They're like, it could. So we don't know, but I mean, fertility, no fertility. So I'm like, okay, I guess the next logical step for me and my body was to have the IUD removed to see if I can naturally balance out my hormones again. Right? Just stop playing with nature and just take this out and just regulate my body. So I know we've talked about this before, but when I first got my IUD removed, it was like I was on this fluffy pink cloud of it's out my body. Like there's almost like this understanding or like this belief that, oh, okay, you remove the IUD and your body's just going to normalize.
Right. Like, you're going to be all natural again. And
oh yeah. Like it's like
great. Yeah.
Like it's a light switch.
Right.
And so that's what I had kind of assumed. Like, okay, cool. I'll go to the appointment, in and out. They'll take the IUD out. And then the next day I'm back to normal. Right. So that like happiness period and like excited about that lasted about a week. And then that's when I started to notice I just wasn't myself. And I couldn't really understand what was going on. But I noticed like as the weeks progressed, I just started to stop like having the motivation or the energy to do anything. And then I started Googling. I was like, what is going on? And I just thought maybe it's seasonal affective disorder because it's wintertime. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Or maybe, I'm like drinking too much coffee or not drinking enough water. But I'm like, I drink a gallon of water a day. I have 4 or 5 servings of vegetables a day. Like, what is happening, And I just couldn't. And then all of a sudden, as a 5 a.m. club person, I started sleeping in until 11. What? Like, I was like, I haven't done that since I was a teenager. Okay. Yeah. And then the next thing I know, it's 2 p.m. and I need a nap. Not even a nap. It was like 2 hours of sleep. So it wasn't even a nap. It was like a sleep. And I'm just like, okay, something is wrong with my body. And when you start to drink coffee just to kind of feel like a human rather than give yourself, oh, just a nice like cup of coffee. Like I had started to become desperate just to feel awake and alive. And I was just like, what is going on with my body? Then I started Googling, and you could tell me a little bit more about this, but I found something called the Mirena crash. Yes. Yeah. So tell me what's going on with there.
Wow. Well, that I love how like descriptive you were about like your experience with how you felt, because that is truly how I felt as well. Like when I didn't have an IUD, but I was taking oral hormonal birth control, and I had been on that for so many years. And I hit a point to where I was feeling absolute like death exhaustion, like needing a nap throughout the day. And I'm like, let me take supplements or something. Let me, let me more coffee, more sleep, more something. And the most interesting way I could describe it is I felt like I lost my internal spark. Like I could not get like my inner spark back. Like I felt like I was just drained. I felt like my metabolism was like slowing down. I felt like super hormonal and just like I did not feel like myself. And I just like didn't understand why. And so what's really interesting is all the things that you're bringing up about how you felt, how I felt, when I started digging into like, what is the science behind what is happening to our bodies, it actually makes so much sense. So if you think about this from when like you are getting this supplemental hormone, which is like it's a synthetic hormone, it doesn't have all the same physiological effects. But what it's doing is it's stopping that communication between your brain and your ovaries. So it's completely shutting down all communication. So it's great that we think that like when we stop taking these hormones, our bodies are going to pick right back up again. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't. Sometimes that communication is cut off for a while and you have this massive crash from feeling like you had hormones to all of a sudden feeling like you have no hormones and like somebody just threw you off a cliff. And I'm sure a lot of people know like how powerful hormones are. Like hormones control a lot.
Emotions, okay?
Emotions,
Emotions, like your feeling, your energy levels, just like what you just said, your spark, you know, me this time last year, I remember, and you remember what's when I met you, I like to consider myself an Energizer bunny. Okay. And I was just super passionate about what I was doing. And I was just like from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., just like, go, 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 just like in love with life. Yep. All of a sudden, it just felt like somebody pulled the plug on me.
Yeah. Same.
And there's like motivation. Right. What is that? Energy. What is that? And here's the weird part. Okay. I like to think of myself as Superwoman, right? So before I did this, before I actually had the IUD removed, I did some Googling, I did some researching, talked to doctors. So I had been aware of the Mirena crash, but I had also seen like, oh, it only affects some people. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm stronger than that. Like,
right. Like I'm different. I've got a good life. I'm inspired. I'm motivated. Yes. Like I'll be fine.
Yeah. I love what I'm doing. I'm around family. Like there's nothing.
I'm good. I'm fine.
I'm blessed. I'm going to be able to overcome this hormonal imbalance that they talk about.
Right,
and even though you read about just like the horrors of having a Mirena crash, it's like all of your hormone levels just deplete, right? Everything's just depleted. So I'm thinking, okay, I know this is going to happen. This is me and my logical brain. I know this is going to happen. So I'm going to have it removed. And then I'm just going to do everything in my power to keep myself in such a positive mindset. So I'm going to like get enough sleep. I'm going to drink water. I'm going to eat certain foods. I haven't drank alcohol in like a year, not going to pick it up. You know, I'm going to move every day, get outside. So I'm literally checking the list for all of these different things to help my body stay balanced when it's literally going to be imbalanced. Mm-hmm. And then it happens. And from somebody who craves productivity and go, 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 and just a zest for life, it doesn't matter. Like it's so different. It's like there's being sad, like there's something happening in your life and then being sad and then kind of sitting in your muck and like just kind of choosing to be sad, which we've all done it. Like it's part of emotions. And then there's almost like it felt like there's somebody playing with, it sounds kind of crazy, but there's somebody like in here that's just not letting me be happy and not letting me have energy no matter what you do. So there's such a big difference. It's just like, it's not a weakness for any women that are watching this and they're like, they have removed their birth control and they're going through this. You are not weak because you don't have energy, because you're tired, because you're emotional, because your mood swings. That is literally how strong hormones are.
Oh my God.
They can literally affect your body that much. It doesn't matter how much willpower you have or how many books that you've read about positive energy and all this kind of stuff. Like if there is a chemical imbalance, a hormonal imbalance in your body,
they're so strong.
It's going to affect you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in the point I want to make with our whole talk today is to not say, do not go on birth control, do not go on hormonal birth control. But what we need to know is like, number one, what is the science of what is it doing in our bodies? What's the information that most women don't know about? What is it doing in your body? And if you decide to transition off of it, how can you do that in a way that actually supports your body and your health? Or if you decide to stay on it, what can you be doing to also take care of your health? And I think one of the biggest points here about why you felt, well, maybe, I don't know why you felt such a big crash, but one possibility is so many women go on birth control in the first place because they're having painful periods, really heavy periods. Maybe they're getting migraines or getting, or, you know, they're having these issues where their body hurts so bad. And then they have a doctor who will tell them, if you take birth control, it'll be so much better, which is basically masking your symptom. It doesn't actually fix your issue. So like for women, if you are having serious painful periods or you are getting really bad PMS, like all of these things are signs, not that you need, birth control doesn't fix it. It masks the symptom. So if you think of like if somebody was yelling really, really loud and you take birth control and you like muffle the yell, and then all of a sudden you stop the birth control and it's like full force yelling really loud.
It's so loud.
Right?
Yes.
So loud. It's like maybe if I had issues 15 years ago and all of those issues were never addressed and they got worse and worse and worse, and all of those issues kept building because they were never addressed. And then I decide one day to go off of birth control, it's going to be 15 years worth of issues compounded louder and louder and louder, which is what is so sad, especially for women who are maybe 15 years old, 20 years old. I mean, really at any age. I know many women who are, 40 and they're considering it to try to rebalance out their hormones. And I think the key here is that it masks a symptom. It doesn't get down to the root cause of why are we having these hormone imbalances. And the hormone imbalances could be so many different factors that have nothing to do with actually taking something that masks it. So sometimes we have hormone imbalances because we're not eating enough omega-3s. Like omega-3, like you have to eat omega-3s to get proper hormone signaling. So like the first thing I ask, if somebody has really painful periods or really bad PMS, one of the main things I ask is like, are you getting omega-3s? Because you have to get omega-3s from your diet for proper signaling. And a lot of the time they say, no, I'm not. And I'm like, well, let's jump on that. Like, let's start with that, right? Or, for example, in PCOS is actually a metabolic issue. Like PCOS happens from these is so much worse from these big blood sugar surges. Like when we have like lots of carbs, lots of blood sugar surges, and it creates this worsening hormone imbalance. So what's interesting is then women will take birth control to try to suppress the symptoms of PCOS, but they didn't actually correct the original metabolic issue behind it. Like they didn't correct the insulin surges. And then so their health is getting worse and worse and worse while the birth control is just masking this really big problem.
And this, I mean, you're opening up a whole can of worms with this one as well, because that is like our society. This is not, and for any men that are watching this too, this is just something to look at our behaviors and our society and our upbringing has, especially here in America, it's like, oh, you have a headache, take a Tylenol. Don't think it's like we're first to take a Tylenol, not say, well, how much water have we had in the last 48 hours? So it's just like we are in that culture of, okay, what's the quick fix? What's the quick fix, right? Instead of getting to the root cause of the issue. And I love what you just said. And it's kind of like, and then this is also about if we don't deal, okay, like literally look at our current state and our present moment, like the traumas, the pain, whatever we've gone through, if we don't deal with it now in the moment and like honor it and try to heal from it, it just builds up. Okay. Whether that's emotions from things that you've gone through, or for my case, like I went 8 years without a period. Guess what? That's 8 years of backup from Mother Nature. So now all of a sudden she's like, bam, 8 years of PMS. Let's go. And I'm like, who am I? Like,
why? Help.
It's so bad.
The world. I know.
Oh my God. Like it's so much. And I'm almost just like, okay, I'll be completely honest. And this is just going to be just for today. When I woke up this morning, I woke up super happy. I was cool, helping my family with some things. And then all of a sudden it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Just hit me. And I was able to have the awareness and thankfully the time to kind of just pause and be like, what's going on? There's nothing wrong in my life right now. Like nothing bad happened. Nobody yelled at me. Nobody cut me off on the street. Like there's nothing that happened. And yet all of a sudden there's this massive switch. And because I've started to recognize the patterns over these 3 months and realize it's because my body's balancing itself out, I was able to pause and breathe. And it got to the point where I almost canceled tonight, to be completely honest. Like, I was just like, I don't want to talk to people. I mean, look, I can't even blow dry my hair because I'm just like, you know, so like, this is the reality, guys. Like, this is the reality. And so it's just, it really just messes everything up. And it's just, it's insane. Like, it's so much more severe than people talk about. And it's just like the masking of it. You know, why do we go on birth control? This isn't to what you just said. It's not to not go on birth control, but this is also a great question I love to talk about you with. When you do go on birth control, if you decide that that is perfect for your body and that works for you and that just makes sense for you at that life, do your due diligence and figure out, how is this going to deplete my body?
Yes.
And how can I support? So yes, please elaborate on this one, because I love when you talk about this.
Well, I love to look at this from the three perspectives. Number one, why are you going on it? If it's for a contraceptive purpose, sure, great, I get it. Like, you don't want to be like, oh well, I'm gonna just have babies, you know, like or figure out something else. There's other options or whatever. So the first thing to consider is, why are you going on it? Because if it is to make you know, certain health issues better, it does actually mask it and make it worse. So if you're having like the painful periods, so number one, consider that. Number two, how about the during, while you are on it? So what a lot of women don't know is what is happening to their bodies when they are on it. So when you are supplementing like a hormone, they have to get metabolized and detoxed by your liver. And this actually uses up a lot of the nutrients that we have, and we end up depleting a lot of our nutrients. And so what happened, so for me, like, my energy absolutely plummeted. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm drinking coffee, I'm caffeining, I'm like, where's my spark? I feel dead inside. Like, and
party of one right here. That's how I feel right now, to be completely honest.
Right. And I totally feel you. And I was going through that, but I stopped taking it about 4 years ago. So I've been through that. I've had that long healing journey of getting my body back in sync. But what a lot of people don't know is you're depleting key nutrients that you need for your mitochondria to work. And I know you're like a big nerd like me, where we nerd all out about how important your mitochondrial function is. So your mitochondria, those little engines, right, that like power your cells, they take your food and they create energy. Well, they need a lot of key nutrients. They need zinc, they need magnesium, they need a lot of B vitamins. And when you're on birth control, as you're detoxing those hormones, you're actually depleting a lot of those key nutrients. So when I was feeling like my energy was absolutely just burned out, I did a lab. It's the same lab that you're doing, where we looked at my nutrient levels and my mitochondrial function, and my mitochondrial function was not good. And I was completely depleted of like really key nutrients for my body to be able to make energy. And I was like, that's really interesting. And then as I look into it further, it lines up with the nutrients that are depleted by birth control. And at the same time, it also affects thyroid function and your body's ability to use cortisol. So my stress hormones were revved up high, but I was still feeling exhausted. And when I did my thyroid labs, my thyroid hormones were like suboptimal, trending, like just popping out of range. And so to think like my thyroid hormones were going out of range, my energy was like completely plummeted. I was like depleting all these nutrients that my body needed. And eventually there's a lot of literature that shows that over time, if you're on birth control for a long time, it can actually lead to leaky gut.
Oh, great.
Right. So gut healing is a huge part if you are either on birth control or if you are coming off from it, because over time that birth control can lead to leaky gut, which affects our immune function, which eventually can cause things like autoimmune disease.
Just to get hit with the wall of truth right there. And so like for those individuals that are currently, obviously like I'm phasing off of it, right? But for those that are currently on it, when you say like take care of your gut, what are some actual steps they can be doing to support their gut?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Gosh, gut could be its own like big topic of its own. I think that so the first thing to circle back around is like the nutrients. So I would absolutely work in a good high quality supplement just to make sure you're getting in those good nutrients that are depleted, like your B vitamins, maybe some magnesium, some zinc. Ideally you're testing, but if not, at least you're getting in a good high quality multivitamin. If you're having hormone imbalances, making sure that you're getting plenty of omega-3s. If you don't eat the food sources like salmon or sardines, like you'd probably be a great candidate for a supplement. And then, so the nutrients are really important. From a gut health perspective, there's a few things like stress absolutely affects our gut health. We know things like artificial sweeteners, right, destroy our gut. And taking care of your gut, like eating lots of good fibers, plant fibers, good probiotics or probiotic rich foods that really take care of your gut. I mean, we could definitely go deep into your gut.
Yeah.
If you have signs of like inflammation or gut issues, you might need some healing, some leaky gut healing. If you've been on birth control for many years, it's a great idea to do some gut healing for sure. Some detoxing and some gut healing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what I love about the work that you and I are doing together. Cause it's just like, you know, you can do, when it comes to health, there's so many different things to do. Right. And you could just Google a bunch of things and trial and error, but like work with a professional, get your blood work done. Like blood work eliminates some of the guesswork and it just gets you that much closer to healing your unique situation. You know, that's the reason too, is like when it comes to health, it really needs to be a customized solution and a customized like way of living for you and your body. All of us, yes, we are all humans, but we all have different genetic makeups and our environment affects what's going on the inside. So every single person is going to need something different. It's not a one size fits all, a one cure fits all. But like, that's why I'm so passionate about getting your blood work done, because then you can really just eliminate a lot of the guesswork and be more intentional and not just be taking a random vitamin like, oh, I hope this works, but you're taking this supplement because you got blood work done that shows you're deficient. Okay, that makes sense, right? Don't just be, because then there's some other people, and I know I have fallen victim to this as well, where you just start taking everything.
Yeah,
you know, you start taking, you start taking random things like aminos, then you start taking BCAAs, even though I don't know, and then you start taking vitamin D and vitamin C and a multi and omegas, and they're not even like maybe the right omegas or good quality, and it's just, don't get supplement crazy. Like whatever you're taking and putting in your body, ask yourself why. And if you don't know the answer, ask the questions, right? Ask the questions.
And if you are still like, so when you stop taking a hormonal birth control, like if you stop taking it and you're still cycling, see where your hormones are at. It can be so helpful to gauge like, where's your progesterone at? Where's your estrogen at? Do we need to dial that in? I lost my menstrual cycle for 1.5 years. And what was so interesting is nobody ever told me I could lose my fertility for life from birth control. Nobody ever told me that. And then I go off of it, and I had to fight to get my cycle back on track. And it was my full-time job, dedicating to understanding my hormones and my cycles and getting everything back on track. And I'm back on track now, but like some women who stop taking it will lose their cycle forever and can lead to infertility and a lot of issues. And it's really not uncommon. And unfortunately, like nobody ever tells us that when you're like 16 at the doctors and they're like, yeah, let's put you on birth control for life and you'll be fine, you know?
Right. And that's a whole nother call as well, about just like periods are powerful and they're awesome. Like let's remove the stigma about not talking about periods. Like it's a part of being a woman, you know, and for so long, like
I love that you brought that up. Actually, I really love that you brought that up, because something I've been really shifting into just like the last few months is like, I think about like, how did I connect with my period when I was younger? And it was like a nightmare. It was like you counted down the days. Yep. It was going to be pain. You were going to be bitchy. It was going to be misery. You're going to have cravings. You're going to be like retaining water. You're going to be like, I hate my life. You know, like I'm going to hide out from the world. You know, at the time, my boyfriend, I'd be like, I'll just avoid him because I'm going to be like hormonal and everything I do, he's going to blame it on me for PMSing or something.
Right.
So like, it was like my relationship to it was like a nightmare. And then one day my sister was like, what? Like, this is a time of like creation. Like I celebrate this. And I'm like, yes, you do? And I started thinking about that, like how way back in the day, like in the native tribes, like women would use that as time to like come together and get creative and talk about like, how do we solve problems? And And it was like this.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but what's so interesting is that I lost my cycle for 1.5 years. And when it finally came back, it came back on the new moon. Like,
oh, that's sick.
You know how they say, like, you know, your cycles should be linked up like the moon cycles, and it is like on the dot, like the new moon, and it actually ended up switching to the full moon, which is, anyways. Sorry, this is like TMI for the world who's listening right now, but like I actually got excited because recently I'm like, I'm going to use this as celebration. Like, I'm going to get creative. I'm going to think about what I want to create. I'm going to hunker down and be gentle with myself.
Exactly. And another thing too, so that's so funny that you say that, because I actually look forward to it now. So I was lucky as soon as might be a stretch, but here's the thing. It's like when I removed the IUD, it was the very next full moon. It was like, bam. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like full engines go. So I've already gone through 3 cycles, but here's the thing that I really want to remove the stigma. This is why I want this conversation to just continue to happen, because having your period does not need to be something to be ashamed of. I remember going to the store and buying tampons, and it's like you hide it in your grocery cart. Like, you don't want people to know that you get a period. Like, hello, you're a woman. It happens. It's nature, you know? So like removing
it brought
the
me back
stigma
to
and
the
embracing
nightmares
it.
in 7th grade though. Like those were like traumatic.
Correct. But then that's the other thing too. It's like there's actually science about like how you're actually able to be more creative. Like there's something that goes around with your hormones. We'll talk about this on the next call, but like you're actually able to convey your thoughts better when you're like ovulating or this like luteal phase that's going on. Like there's so much more information. It's like if instead of fearing it, right, and then dreading it, right, if it's something that we know, or it's kind of like anything in life, if there's something that you're going to go through and there's no changing it, you either, if you change, you can either change the event or you change your mindset. Well, we can't change the event. It's part of life. It's part of our body. It's part of being a woman. So change your mindset around it. Like really look to understand it rather than dread it. Look to embrace it rather than like, oh, I wish this was over. I wish this was over. I can't believe this is happening. Like, oh, cool. This is happening. Like, I'm going to embrace it,
Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of women out there who are probably just like, yeah, okay, that's easy for you to say, like when you have this like lovely in sync body and your hormones feel like they're all in sync. But like we also know what that's like when your hormones are not in sync and you feel like you're going crazy, whether you just got off of hormonal birth control or you're thinking about going on it because your body feels like it is literally raging against you. It's just something to take into consideration, that what is your body communicating to you? And that's where you and I are so aligned with our philosophies. And like, let's look for a root cause of like, what is your body communicating to you? Instead of like, how do I muffle this and mask this symptom with hormonal birth control that's not going to fix the problem? How do I learn about my body or get somebody on my team who can help me figure out, where's this hormone imbalance coming from? Is it from my diet? Is it from my stress? Is there a structural problem going on with my body and my ovaries and my uterus? Is it, am I not getting proper signaling with nutrients and omegas? Like, there's so much that we can explore before we just mask a problem and then cover it up. And then here we are 15 years down the road with serious issues.
Party of one right here, or probably other people too. Like that's literally it. And like I love how you just described that too. It's like it feels like your body's like like that's what I feel like lately. I feel like I'm battling. Like my mind is telling me, okay, you have so much to do. You should be doing X, Y, and Z. My body's just like, nope, not gonna do that. Not gonna let you do that. Your energy is just sapped. I mean, I used to have straight hair. Now I have curly, and I have no idea where that came from. Just like. Crazy things are happening with my body right now, and it's just
and so those are a lot of things with those shifts that like we see energy getting completely depleted. So if your energy is completely slumped and you're relying on caffeine, you cannot figure it out, and you're on hormonal birth control, like ding, that's a huge like red flag. Some women are losing their hair, or they're like it's resolving their acne, or they're getting acne, or your metabolism is slowing down and you're gaining weight. I mean, it's actually a really just simple mechanism. Like number one, you don't have the nutrients to fuel your mitochondria. And two, like you're really blocking your thyroid from being able to work like it should. And your thyroid is like your body's thermostat for your metabolism, right? So it is so hard to feel like we are thriving for a long time on something that is depleting our nutrients, affecting our mitochondrial function, affecting our thyroid hormones, not giving us the same response as our own hormones do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
In every way, you're really putting yourself up against a lot. And it is something to consider too, because I also hear a lot of women who are like, my daughter's 16. She's having the worst experience with her body. Like, can we get her on hormonal birth control? And it's like, wait, like, can we just dot the I's and cross the T's that everything else is okay before like we just mask these symptoms?
Right. Right. Yes. But that's just like the thing. It's like, it's the easy fix. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Get the prescription. So
Right.
do your due diligence, have the conversation. And I love what you just said, get somebody on your team, whether that's a physician or whoever it is. Like, if you don't have the answers, don't hesitate to ask them. Okay. I had no idea what's going on with my body. And I was just like, okay, this is not my scope. This isn't my field. And so I'm just going to ask, even though when you are going through this, the last thing you want to do is tell anybody. Because like the last thing I wanted to tell anybody was just like, oh my gosh, my energy is low. I'm a shell of myself and I'm thinking I'm weak. But I'm like, okay, something's not right. Because this is just, this is not normal. And so it's just like, be open and have the conversation.
Well, I was in a very similar place too. I mean, I was, you know, a dietitian and practicing functional nutrition and helping people fix their energy, helping people fix their metabolism. And I'm like, literally hitting like feeling like I'm hitting an all-time low with my health and can't figure it out. Right. And I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on here? Until like I went off of it and then started studying like truly what makes our hormones work.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like we have these kind of hormones and then it's like you're literally being like dropped off of a cliff.
Yeah. So this is Mallory reporting from the bottom of the cliff saying, guys, I'm working on the climb. Okay.
We're pulling you back up. Don't worry. You will get there. You will
day
get there.
by day, day by day.
And it took me a long time. I mean, I think I went off of it about 4 years. Actually, it was exactly 4 years ago. I decided to go off of it. And it was a long, it was a road of really like detoxing my body, getting my nutrients back, lots of love and healing and gentleness on the road to healing with my body, because I had lots of imbalances. I tested my hormones and my hormones were just a nightmare. My hormones were all over the place. They were completely plummeted. And my doctor was like, well, if they're low, you could just go back on hormones again. And I'm like, this is not
like, no, my body is able to do this on its own. Like, I've messed with Mother Nature enough. And now it's time to just do the work. And I feel like that's what this is me doing right now. It's like, okay, how can I support my body? How can I support my body? And sometimes it's like, it's 2 p.m. and I'm like, your body just needs to crash and have a nap right now. Okay, cool. Like, I just look at it, instead of it being an annoyance right now or a weakness, I look at it as this is part of the healing process. Yes. This is part of the healing process. Just going to keep rolling with it.
So let's talk about the healing process.
Yes,
let's dig into that, because I know there are a lot of women who are transitioning out of birth control in that process. And they're like, what can I do to support my body during that process? How can I make it easier? And I think what you do can make a really big difference. Of course you will have, well, I don't want to say, of course you will have that's not true. I don't like to use like, absolutes. Like, of course you're going to have this experience.
Right.
Scratch what I said about that. But regardless of how you support your body, you're probably going to have like those shifts, of having those hormones to not having those hormones. But I think there's a lot of things you can do that make a really big difference in that transition. So I don't know if there's anything that you want to talk about that you've been doing that's been helping you, anything you want to
absolutely
comment on that.
I could say, there's a whole bunch of tactical stuff, but I just want to talk about one of the biggest mindset shifts. And I feel like that was one of the biggest things that have helped me. And I really saw it come to play today is stop fighting the fact that your body is fighting to balance itself. Okay. I think that was my thing. I just had this idea that once the IUD was removed, I was going to be like, boom, balance, cool, full of energy. I'm back to being myself. And the more that I fought that idea, it's like having that just expectation of myself to be able to heal overnight. Like, you remove the IUD and you're healed. having that expectation just led me to so much frustration, so much disappointment, and just freaking sad, just because I felt like I was trying to white knuckle my way through this healing process. And that, this is what you do for a living. You help people balance out your bodies. Like, why aren't you balanced? And I started to just have this very unnecessary dialogue within myself. So I would say the first thing, when you are removing your birth control or you're transitioning off, first thing, accept that your body is going to be going through a period of healing, and that is different for each person. Okay, accept it. And I feel like I fought it for probably the last 3 months, which caused me to just be a shell of myself, hide myself away, didn't want to ask for help. I just thought I was weak. And then it was like today, I really embraced, this month in particular, I've really just embraced it. Like, you know what? It's not an overnight thing. Nothing ever is. Nothing in life is, okay? It's not an overnight fix. And so I'm just going to accept that my body is currently healing. So when those waves of mini depression episodes or super lack of energy, when those come up, I'm going to be able to breathe, have the awareness that, I am not this emotion, but this is part of the healing process. So I'm going to give my body what it needs to work through this. And today it happened. All of a sudden I was like, fine. And then crying. And I had no reason why. And I was like, time to just do a little self-love. And I just went and I sat down with my mom's dogs, and I just sat and I curled up, and I ended up taking like a 30-minute nap to let my body just do whatever it needed to work through. So I would say number one tip for transitioning off, first, accept that your body is going to be going through a period of healing. Like, just accept it, because it's going to happen. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. And I actually wish that I would have heard that, because I didn't make that connection at the time. And I was just like, why does my body hate me? And like, I remember feeling so angry that like I could not get my period back. And I was trying so hard. And every month I'd be like, please, come on. And like nothing would happen. And I just felt like, and then I try to be gentle and like, okay, you can heal. You're doing great. And I'm like, why is this happening? And I'm emotional, and I'm like all over the place and frustrated and wanting to control my health and feeling like my body is rebelling against me. So I wish I really had somebody tell me that mindset of just like, we're all on our own healing journey from this. Like, be gentle and know that you're at your own place. You don't have to compare where you're at with everybody else. Right. And like, the healing is such an individual journey. And I'm so glad that you said that, because I really wish somebody would have said that to me.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, that I've just been very practical about, right? That's like the mindset. I think that has helped me just really overcome a lot of these waves of low energy, fatigue, depression. Like, it's really just, okay, this is just part of it. I'm going to accept the present moment for what it is. Can't change it. Wow. But I think the other thing too is, at the same time, it's really hard when you're going through a lull to do what's right for your body. Okay. It is like when you have all the energy in the world, sure, it's easy to get outside, breathe the fresh air, drink the water, eat the vegetables, right? Because you have all this motivation. Right. Motivation is fleeting. And if you're going through a hormone imbalance and transitioning off of birth control, it's almost non-existent. Okay. Like, motivation has been almost non-existent. So to make the good decisions is very, very challenging sometimes, but I feel like at least know what your core pillars are that in a normal scenario keep you balanced. For me personally, it's drinking my gallon of water a day. Okay, I've had that habit for now 2 years. And so not doing it is going to not help me. All right. Even if I don't think it's making a difference right now, do whatever you can from a tactical position. Okay, what are those key pillars that keep you balanced on the day to day? So for me, it's been like drinking my water, a gallon of water a day, and having 3 to 4 servings of vegetables a day, increasing that fiber intake. I don't drink, don't smoke. So I'm still, even though I'm not feeling my best, I have these like core, like just behaviors that I have stuck to, because if anything, they're getting me closer to that healed state, right? Where I'm more in balance, and I don't want to do anything that's going to prolong the suffering, right? It's as much as I might not have the energy or the go get 'em attitude right now. Now is not the time to now just go on the complete opposite direction. Momentum builds 100%. Both ways, right? If I just started to eat junk food and all do this stuff, it's only prolonging the suffering. You're not helping your healing process, right? So it's having that unwavering faith that what you're doing today is going to help you get to that healed part in the future.
And I think having that like gentle healing mindset where like when I first started, like because my hormones were so messed up, I felt like my metabolism was messed up. My cravings were terrible. Like I was trying so hard to work out and like be intense and be rigid with my diet. So it's like, how is my body gonna heal my hormones and say like, yeah, we're safe to reproduce when all I'm doing is like number one, I'm dropping off a cliff with all my hormones. And then on top of that, I'm doing like restriction, intense exercise. And I'm just like putting my body through all of this, like so much. How is my body going to be like, yeah, let's get your period going. You're safe to reproduce. You're safe to create reproductive hormones. Like it's not going to happen if I'm also at the same time, I was trying to do like intermittent fasting, and it just like my body would not heal until I came to a place of like what feels nurturing to it and like gentle. And I think this is really funny. I just want to bring this up. I love that Steve made this comment. He said, interestingly, being on birth control actually affects a woman's taste in men. On birth control, girls will be more attracted to the bad boy's personality than when not on it. Fun facts, LOL. Oh, that's really funny. Yeah. I'd love to hear. Is this a research study? Is this like, I think it's hilarious that you brought that up.
I mean, just thinking back at my choices, it kind of makes sense.
Kind of makes sense.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's so funny. Hilarious, Steve. You're great. So I love that you said that the healing part, like number one, it starts with a healing mindset. 100% agree with that. That was great. That was so great.
I cannot, it was not realistic, even though I did it for the past 3 months, it was not realistic for me to expect myself and demand myself to maintain a intense nutrition and workout routine while my body is literally trying to balance and heal itself. Because we have to think about it. Exercise is good, but strenuous exercise like HIIT or like super heavy lifting is inducing stress onto the body.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is also, I mean, that's also why I love working out, because it gives you practice in dealing with stressful situations, which is fantastic. But when I am going through what I'm going through, transitioning off of birth control, now is not the time to, I'm going through birth control. Okay. A lot of stress being put on the body. Stress. So I'm also going to be in a calorie deficit trying to lose weight. And I'm also going to be with intense workouts to try to get to my optimal performance. Hello, you're in healing mode. Like, so, and I think that was actually, this is a whole nother thing, because weight loss, weight gain, I mean, we work in nutrition. And so this is a conversation that we are it happens all the time. We have to stop thinking that weight gain is the end of the world. Okay. It is not. In certain situations, like it's actually crucial. Like for my body right now, I stopped with any type of restriction, and I stopped forcing myself to go to the gym because my body couldn't keep up with my intense routine that it was doing. And so I naturally was moving less and I was eating more, and weight gain happened. But I'm like, okay, instead of thinking that's a fail, this is actually nurturing my body, accepting this phase. Like that's the thing. It's like, there is no such thing as sticking to a goal weight. Stick to an optimal weight. And an optimal weight is the weight that your body needs to be at for that phase of its life. Right now, I am in a massive healing transition time. And so my optimal weight is a little bit higher, and that's okay. Like that.
My body did the same. And it felt so amazing when I gave myself permission to do that, where at first I was in this fight of like, hold on, this is your time to get your fittest. This is your time to go. This is your time to work out intense and like, and do all these things, intermittent fasting, and like just this push energy. And that doesn't send the signal to my body that like I'm safe. And that doesn't mean that I can't have a push now, like now that my body is equipped to handle that. I mean, I still don't like extreme. I don't even like extremes anymore. Like, but at the time, like my body would not heal until I sent the message that we're safe to reproduce. We would, in theory, if I were to, I'd be safe to carry a baby. So like when we're trying to get that communication back between your ovaries and your pituitary, like we're trying to get that communication back of like, hey, let's start working together again. This body is safe to reproduce and carry a baby. And if you're doing extreme things, like trying to be extremely lean and exercising intensely and restricting your food, body's going to be like, nope, we're shutting down your ability to reproduce because you're not safe enough to do it. And that's exactly what was happening to my body. for like a year and a half until I was like, okay, I need to absolutely nurture my body and make it feel as safe as possible. And then my period came back.
Yeah, that's been a, I'll just be completely honest, that's been a tough lesson for me to learn, because I think I grew up being very active, sports, dance competitively, like all these things. So I've always had a very active lifestyle, and to the point where I was like up at like 4:45 and out and running and doing weights and all that, like just crazy. And obviously during this time, that's just it. My body physically can't, my body just felt heavy when I was trying to stick with that routine. And now that I've actually completely changed it, my morning routine looks nothing like it used to in the beginning of the year. Looks nothing. Like
when I went through my healing, I was like, I'm gonna sleep in. I'm gonna love on myself.
Oh my gosh!
Like, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to crush a workout anymore. No. We're not doing that.
My before like transitioning off of birth control, it was like get up at 4:45 so you could be working on at 5. And I was doing like intense like sprints, and I was doing like various workouts and like heavy lifting.
We're so much alike. It's so funny.
Oh my God, it's crazy. And now my morning routine, if you ask me what it is, it's getting up like an hour later, and I do a breathing practice. I do make like a tea. I don't have caffeine in the morning. So my body can just naturally wake up and get in sync with its circadian rhythm. And I get outside first thing, and I am like a completely different person. And now if I do work out, and that's the big thing, when that my body feels like working out, it's more yoga, stretching, nurturing. And if I do lift heavy weights, it's when I've had adequate fuel and I'm doing it at night, when it's just like I am completely shifted how I go about health and wellness and fitness for my personal body. And now I'm doing literally, if it doesn't support my healing process, I'm like, not for me. Not for me. This is not a time to challenge my body.
I am the same. I used to really be like mentally, I have to do all these things and push, regardless of where my body is at. And then the healing really began when I started doing that, like honoring my body. Like sleep comes before anything. Like if my body is not in a like good place, like sleep is my number one, like nurturing my body. And now like I do a lot more of what you're talking about, a lot more of like restorative stuff. And occasionally I still love to push, but I check in and I make sure like, is my body currently right now equipped to handle that stress? Where I like for a long time, I was like, no, my body is not equipped for intermittent fasting and for extreme exercise and long, intense cardio. And like, this is not actually serving the best thing for my body. And I really have to check in on that of like, where is my body at right now? So now I can tell for me, like if I want to, and again, I think it has to be dialed into the person, but like for me, like I can tell if I want to do some intermittent fasting around 16 to 18 hours, I feel pretty good. If I go 24 plus, I feel like it starts messing up my hormones again. Like I think that's where my body finds that tipping point of it's too delicate, like for my hormones.
Yeah, I'm all about that. And I feel like it's because what they say, everything happens for a reason, and you'll figure out what's going on, but and like as time goes on, but that was the thing. It's like for me, I feel like looking at, okay, what am I learning going through this, right? Because even though it feels like the world is crumbling down, my body's fighting against me, what am I learning? I'm actually learning how to truly tune into my body and not let my pride navigate my health and wellness journey, which is huge because like I think pride really, and this is me as somebody who does health coaching and has been in this industry. Yes. And I'm going to admit right now, I let my pride dictate my workout schedule. I let my pride dictate my nutrition schedule, what I ate, how I slept, everything. I let my pride run it. Now I let my body decide it. And ever since let's coin that. But ever since doing that, I'm like, ooh, I'm in the flow of my body. I'm so much more connected. I don't feel as like tired and lethargic, even though I'm going through this healing process. Like it's wild when you really start to, it's like something clicks and you have to let go of that pride to be the leanest and be the strongest and look like a Nike model. And okay, let that go. And just let your body, do what it's actually meant to do.
Well, it's such an amazing experience. Like you said, when you feel like you are in sync with your body, where you know how to trust, like you trust what it's telling you of like where it's at. And so instead of being like, oh my God, my energy is low, I have to like mega dose caffeine. It's like my energy is low. How do I nurture that right now? Like, how do I be gentle with it? How do I let myself just rest and take a little bit off? Like, how do I match my exercise? And like, what an amazing gift it is when you can learn how to honor your body and flow with it wherever it's at, even if it's not functioning optimally. Like, I know you're just getting into your journey of like healing from, getting off of this birth control. But really, I really think if you are just keep nurturing your body in the way that you are, like, you're going to get to a great place. Like, I was literally bottomed out. Energy was low. I was so hormonal. I was so emotional. My thyroid hormones were going out of range, and I'm in a great place now. Like, my energy is fantastic. My labs are looking good. I got my spark back again, and it took time, but yeah, absolutely. And it takes time, but I think that the healing process is really important of like what you said, like having that really nurturing mindset. This is like nurturing. This isn't like going to battle and going to war with your body. And then just the things that we talked about of like what's depleted, like how do we make sure that we get enough nutrients back on board so we can make sure like your body's making energy efficiently, like your mitochondria are functioning efficiently. Maybe check on those thyroid labs and just double check and see like while you were on birth control, did your thyroid start to veer out of range? And then also detoxing. The liver has been working really hard. Your liver has been working hard to detox those synthetic hormones. And so to do like a liver detox while you're getting your body back on track for like between 2 to 3 weeks can be a really great way just to help get those synthetic hormones out so that your body can get back into its own hormone cycle again.
I love that. And you brought up a good point. What is like a liver detox? Like, explain that. Like, it's like, what do you mean by a liver detox? Like, go on a liver detox. What does that entail, I guess?
I would work with a practitioner who uses like high quality practitioner grade supplements. I wouldn't do like it with things like this. It's important. The quality is really important, and the quality of supplements is not all created equal, right? Like, we know that. Sure. So there are different programs that you can do, like detox. I do a detox program with only, certain people who really need that extra liver support, but you can get practitioner grade supplements where you're getting high quality, good concentrations of things that support liver detoxification. So your liver has different enzymes that help your body detox, and there's certain nutrients that we can take or nutraceuticals that can help speed up that process and help it out. If it's been working really hard and we've been depleting these nutrients, it just helps it. And then also components of a good detox is drinking lots of water, lots of sleep to get those hormone cycles back. So even like your melatonin, cortisol cycles, those are all a part of getting all of your hormones back on track. So trying to really get your sleep back on track if that's been off and wonky, making sure you're taking care of your gut health. A lot of hormone balance actually starts in the gut as well. So, things like getting good fibers for your gut, good probiotics, drinking lots of water. Maybe you're doing some sauna therapies, all that stuff that can support your body's ability to detox. Because a lot of people, when they think of like detox, they think of toxins, but hormones actually have to get detoxed from our liver. Our liver is responsible for detoxing our hormone metabolites and getting rid of them. So we've been like dosing these synthetic hormones. Yeah, we need a little bit of support there. It can be really helpful. And to also just clean up the diet a little bit for a few weeks and just help get lots of good nutrients on board. Get some of those good omega-3s if you're not getting them, making sure you're getting proper hormone signaling. And it can make such a difference just in allowing your body to heal.
I love that. I love it. That's what I'm really excited about getting. I think my blood work, it arrived. I saw it. It did. So cannot wait to go through that.
It says that your results will be in by March 4th. I saw that. It said, I saw it today. It said your results will be in on or before March 4th. I'm really excited for you because you'll get to see, like, are there any nutrients that are low, that are suboptimal that you might want to like fill in and try to get things going again. So it's really nice of you to help you just dial in what nutrients are low. And it was interesting because all of my nutrients were really low that are actually depleted by birth control.
Look at that.
Weird. That also affects energy production. Weird how that works, huh?
There you go. And that's pretty much the whole entire call, but there you go. Boom. Mic drop.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the biggest points here, the biggest key takeaways are, if you're having issues like symptoms of hormone imbalance and you're thinking about using birth control to correct it, just keep in mind that you're masking symptoms. You're not getting down to the root cause of the problem. So if you are in that space, work with somebody that you trust that can really help you get down to root cause. Maybe it's a functional medicine practitioner. Maybe it's, one of us, maybe it's a naturopath, somebody who looks for root cause, not just if your doctor is just telling you you're having these symptoms, take birth control. I just strongly recommend that you just have somebody who can also make sure that they're looking for any other issues from a root cause perspective. Mm-hmm. So that's just one thing to consider if you're thinking about taking birth control. If you're on birth control, making sure that you're getting lots of nutrients, you're taking good care of your body, you're checking on your thyroid hormones, you're giving your gut lots of love, you're taking care of your digestive tract. You're replacing some of those key nutrients that are lost, and you're really checking in with your body of like, are things changing? How's my energy? How's my metabolism? How's my mood? Depression is a big issue, and we see that a lot with women on birth control. And then if you are transitioning off from it, how can you, support your body during that phase? Like having that gentle mindset, getting in the good nourishing foods, supporting your body's detox while you're getting rid of some of those hormones and you're getting your hormones back on track. Anything else you want to throw in there, Mallory?
Yeah, honestly, it was beautiful.
This is kind of a little summary to kind of close everything in. Yes. If anyone has any questions, now's the time to throw them in. Scott wants to know what we think about working out with masks on. Not really a birth control question. My guess is that it's hard to breathe. It's hard to get oxygen. Yeah. That's why I just work out at home. But I don't know. Yeah, I do the same.
Yeah, I could not go to a gym right now because if I had to wear a mask like at a gym, like I can't breathe, like I feel claustrophobic. No, thank you. So I just work out at home. I do. There's a lot of great options. A lot of great options.
Yeah. Random I really do the same. Yeah, random questions. Let's see. But I love all the people that hopped on today. We were kind of navigating both Facebook and Instagram. So I've been like back and forth. Yeah, between the back and forth. But yeah, I love people said sleep is so important. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that really sleep is like number one, and it's huge. Sleep is so big for getting your hormones back on track. Yeah. So huge. Sure. Oh, Kagan. Hi, Kagan. I love Kagan. She said, quitting birth control cold turkey, a smart idea, or should you ease off? My question is, how do you ease off?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't.
Yeah, like I'm wondering, how would you ease off? Because if you're, like you're either taking a pill or you're not, or you have an IUD or you're not, or you're getting a shot or you're not. So, I'm kind of stuck on that question because I don't know how you would ease off.
I think maybe not even a sense of like easing off, but just because there's no real way. I like what you just said. It's either an on switch or an off switch. You're either doing the thing, you either got the shot, got the patch, got the IUD, or taking the pill, or you're not. Like it is kind of, it's black and white, But I do think that you can, if you are going to be quitting birth control or transitioning off, such as me right now currently, just do your due diligence on how can I support my body. I think that would make the transition not feel as cold turkey-ish, but also understand that your body, you are going to feel things. You can't white knuckle it and muscle through and just think that you can maintain the same mindset and same demands on your body that you're doing now as you are transitioning off. It's a massive change for your body. I'm doing it I think the pros outweigh the cons for transitioning off for me personally. So it's worth this like extra effort that I'm putting in right now to balance out my body. But
yeah. And also I think part of the easing off is the stress aspect. This was like, I can't believe I forgot to mention this because this was so huge for me. And this is so huge for women who are transitioning into menopause. This is key. Your stress hormones play a massive role in how big of a shift you feel in your hormones. So your stress hormone, like cortisol, that is like your emergency money. Like that takes priority over anything. So if you're putting your body through stress and you're really stressed and your cortisol is high, your adrenals and your ovaries and everything, like your body is not making your fun money that you get when everything is good. Like you're not getting the progesterone and estrogen not nearly as much as you are the cortisol. So if cortisol is high, it drops our progesterone, estrogen, our other hormones. So if we can help support those stress hormones, that cortisol, lower that, bring our other hormones can kind of come back up naturally because we're safe. We can't be like in fight or flight and then our reproductive hormones just absolutely crash. So I think that making an ease, like an easier shift, is way easier if you're managing your stress hormones. And it's so hugely overlooked with women who are transitioning into menopause, who are going through it, and why some women are like, menopause was easy. It was fine. I got a little hormonal, but it was no big deal. And then there are other women who are like, I want to die. You threw me off of a cliff. Like you literally and it's a very similar experience where if your stress hormones are high, like your other hormones plummet. And especially, so like for women who are going into menopause, if your ovaries are making those hormones and then they stop, you plummet and you feel like the big shift. For us, if we're taking the birth control and then we stop taking it and all of a sudden our ovaries can't keep up because we're in this fight or flight state, like we feel this massive shift. So I think one of the greatest ways to ease into that would be to actually think of your stress hormones as like your number one priority, like nurturing your body and lowering your stress.
So I think to that question then, almost be more intentional with if you are going to transition out of or off of birth control, be intentional with when you're going to do it. For example, probably don't do what I did.
When you're going through a breakup?
Oh no. Yeah. So breakup. I did it when I was moving.
Nightmare.
Okay. Moving in different countries, experiencing my first winter in 6 years, trying to launch a business initiative. So all of these normally high stress events, I try to do all of that at the same time that I was transitioning off of birth control. So what that did to what you just said, it just widened the gap. Like progesterone and estrogen were already going to drop because of removing the birth control, but then also I was making my stress hormones go up. So imagine this, now it's like your body's being pulled and it's like, what's going on?
Literally my life was crashing all at the same time. Like I was trying to figure out my work. I was like, my long-term boyfriend and I just broke up, which is funny because it was 4 years ago on Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day was like my breakup anniversary of my last relationship. So it was like breakup, Valentine's Day, stop taking birth control, trying to figure out my work. I was like trying to get my body back in shape and I was like, my life is falling apart. Like literally stress hormones. I did not make it easy on myself at all.
Right. Yeah.
There's no nurturing that was happening.
Yeah. And it's not to say that there's ever going to be a perfect time to transition off of birth control because there's always going to be something that happens in life. But if you can just try to be a little bit more strategic with when you do it. And then if you just have a very stressful life, okay, then also show compassion. That's when getting that gentle mindset and having that gentle approach to just, you are going to be in that healing period and just accept it, but being definitely just more intentional with everything that you do. So that's huge.
Yeah. Nicole, thank you for that comment. Love you so much for that information. That's so great. I hope it helps you. And thanks for hopping on, and so happy to talk about this anytime. We just so happy, and I hope it helps for anyone who's hopping on today. And it was actually fun to see like some men pop on here today, and they're like, "What? Tell me more." You know?
I love how one of the comments in the very beginning was just like, us men, we have no idea that you women go through this. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, here's the thing. Some of us, I love that comment. Absolutely. Because it does need to be talked about, just to show that compassion. Like birth control, periods, all of that doesn't have to be such a taboo topic. Like, make it okay to talk about it and discuss it so that way we can just fully embrace the experience for what it is instead of just trying to fight it and hide it. Like, that doesn't help anybody involved. So, love it.
Absolutely. Well, I don't see any other questions on here. I think we hit all the corners here.
Absolutely.
This was awesome. Yeah, it's great to be able to just freely talk about What are the concerns around it? And so at least, this isn't us taking a stance for you can't be on birth control or you shouldn't, or there'd be shame around it if you are on it or deciding to stay on it. Like, there's absolutely, no shame in your decisions. And it's just great to be empowered over like what is happening inside my body. And if I need support, how do I get support? And if I'm losing my mind, it's not me. If if I think that I'm going crazy, like, it's okay to like get support.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me, Mallory. This is so awesome that we got to do this.
We're going to do it again too, I'm sure. Like,
yeah.
I could talk for hours about this. And actually, this has been helping me get through this time of my life, being able to talk about it. So for whoever that has questions, make sure just reach out to Gina or I, and we're here for you. You don't have to do it alone. So
absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody.